Want to know how you can gain access to capital to jumpstart your journey to entrepreneurial success? For entrepreneurs who are just starting out or those who have been in business for years, Minority Business Access is your podcast. Welcome to our show, where we will guide you in avoiding the pitfalls and thriving in your chosen business. Now, on to the show with your host, Solomon Ali.
Good morning, Mitch. How are you?
Very good yourself. Thanks for having me.
Doing well. Welcome to Minority Business Access. I know that you had a lot of questions and things of that nature, but what I want to do is, I don't do a great job in introducing folks, so I'm going to allow you an opportunity to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you, about your business and everything of that nature, so that my audience can know that what business is talking about, what Minority Business Access is really talking about.
Gotcha.
Is that we're for businesses of all kinds and all types. Okay.
Very good. I'm Mitchell Smith Bey, originally from Brooklyn, New York. I came to Charlotte in 1989. Yeah, right out of Bushwick. We were trying to make it right. But I came to Charlotte and became a police officer. I'm a former police officer here in Charlotte. Left law enforcement in 1994.
Man, I think you might have just lost me some ratings.
Oh, no. Well, it's a good thing. No, you can use me as a resource. I know how they do business. I went through the police academy, and in 1994, I realized that I wasn't really helping others. And I was going through a separation, divorce, and I was back at my mother's house. And during that time, I was always into fitness, and I always used fitness as an outcome to help me stay strong or to deal with my discomforts or my challenges.
Right. Okay.
And that started back when I was in Brooklyn. I went to Brooklyn College for 1 year and transferred to Howard University. But I love basebal. And
so Howard University, what do they call y'all, the Hustle or something?
The Hustle? No, we're the Bisons. We the MEAC. No, we're the MEAC. But they have some hustlers there. I mean, but it's education hustle.
Okay, well, I understand.
But being from Brooklyn and going to Howard was a good change and a good transformation, because I was leaving what I was familiar with, and I'm the first of 7 kids to go away to a university or to go to a university.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So my learning experience all started leaving the house, or another experience. Once I got out to Howard, I realized it was a different world. Went through that, got my degree. Matter of fact, I thank Mr. Mayers. Mr. Mayers was my counselor. Every year, my first year I went to Howard during orientation, he said, "Where you from?" I said, "I'm from Brooklyn." He said, "Guess what? You will flunk out." I said, "Excuse me?" So being from Brooklyn, I took that personal, like, you don't even know me. And so every year I would have to go back to him to get my classes, and I would go 1. He said, "What does that mean?" "Nothing." I walk out. The next year I say 2. He looked at me and said, "What does it mean?" I said, "Nothing." 3. 4th year, I said, "You might want to check my credits. I think I'm graduating in May." So he looked over my credit. He said, "Man, you got enough credits." I said, "Yeah." He said, "All right, yeah, you'll be graduating."
You wouldn't be denied.
No. It was one of those things where sometimes when people say things, you don't know if it's going to ignite the other person that's hearing it, or put them to sleep.
All right.
Unfortunately, it ignited me. It made me feel challenged.
Okay.
And so through those challenges, I graduated from Howard. I went back to Brooklyn. I worked at one of the biggest shelters in Brooklyn, called Catherine Street. Didn't like that. Came to Charlotte for a family reunion, and my mother said, and I was on a waiting list to be a police officer in New York. They have waiting lists. They have 3 academy classes. And they were waiting to put through about 1,200 police officers, and I was waiting. I came to Charlotte, and my mother said, "Why don't you check with the police academy here, see if they're hiring?" And fortunately, that July was a family reunion here in Charlotte. I went to the academy. The recruiter said, "Hey, if you want it, we can hire you, but we got to do the background search." I said, "I could do better than that. My background search and investigation has already been completed in New York." So I had my investigator from New York contact.
So you knew you wanted to be a peace officer.
Yes.
Noble profession.
Yes.
Profession that
Yes.
helps others.
That's what I thought I was going to do. Yes.
And stuff. And then, believe it or not, people, peace officers help people of color.
Yes.
So
yes.
let's not give them a hard time or anything of that nature, because they truly help us and they're there to protect us and things of that nature. That being said, go on.
So once I realized in law enforcement, I was from the North coming to the South. I was coming from civilian life to a paramilitary life. Okay. So all that was another learning experience. But because of my challenges with the baseball coach at Brooklyn, saying I was too small and too weak to live, and using weights as my outcome and wellness, I was prepared for the challenge. I went to Howard University, and I was a walk-on scholarship baseball player. I went to the coach and said, hey, give me a scholarship.
Wait, you went to the coach?
I went to the coach office, knocked on his door, and said, listen, give me a scholarship. I'm better than some of the players on your team. I scouted the team out.
You scouted the
I
team?
Scouted the team. Yeah, I wanted to get a scholarship. I wanted to see what I was dealing with.
So you were convicted to win?
I was convicted for me to win. Yeah. I was going to be a win, but I wasn't going to go in there just with words. I had to do some assessment. And I don't know, that came from, growing up in Brooklyn. You better know your terrain.
Okay, so in my line of work, we call it doing some due diligence.
Okay.
Know what's about to happen and go on. Know everything about them. Okay,
right.
So you did your assessment.
I did my assessment. I saw his name is Bonds. What was his name? Demery Bonds, first baseman from White Plains, New York. I did all of that. I knew who he was from. Like, okay, where Demery from? Demery couldn't throw the baseball across the diamond. And he was on a full ride.
Wow.
He was on a full ride and couldn't throw a baseball across the diamond. That means across the field in the infield.
Okay.
I knew I could I could play better than him. I could throw the ball across the diamond on a line.
So you convinced the coach of that?
Well, he said, "Can you pick it?" I didn't scrutinize or say anything. I just said I could play better than some of the guys. I didn't say who.
Okay. So you didn't belittle anybody else?
No. I'm trying to lift me up. I ain't trying to put nobody down.
Okay.
So, and he knows what he got. So when I went there and he said, well, can you pick it? Now, that was a Southern term I never heard before. Now, Chuck Hinton played in the major leagues. He played with the Washington Senators, and he also played with the Cleveland Indians. And he said, can you pick it? I'm like, yeah, I could pick it. Well, I can't say no.
Well, I don't know what pick is.
I didn't know either, but he could have me picking cotton the next day.
So can you tell us what?
Picking mean can you feel?
Can you feel?
Can you feel the ball?
Okay.
So, but I didn't know, but I wasn't going to say no, because this is a job interview. Well, I'm going to say no, I can't pick it.
Okay.
I would get put out the door. Well, I can't use you.
Okay.
He said, can you pick it? I said, yeah. So he said, bring your stuff.
I'm going to borrow that baseball analogy. Can you pick it?
Can you pick it? That's right. And I went, he said, come to the field tomorrow. He said, brought your stuff? I said, yeah, I got my stuff. I brought it from home. So I went to the field. He gave me a tryout. And he said, well, you came from a D1 school. You're going to have to sit out a year. That was the rule at the time. And I said, well, no problem. He said, but next year I'll let you play. You play well. I'll see, can I find you some money? I said, I'm good. I earn my way. I'm good. So that happened. For the last 3 years at Howard University, my education was free.
Okay. But that first year, you had to earn.
I had to work. Yeah, you got to put the work in. You got to put the work in.
I like that.
Yeah.
I tell a lot of people all the time, you don't have to lie, cheat, and steal in business.
No.
What you do have to do is be able to do the work.
Yeah.
And the work comes in different forms. For some people, it may be going to read some books.
Correct.
It may be learning or brushing up on your math.
Yes.
It may be becoming an expert in your subject matter.
Yes.
And as you stated earlier, learning and doing an analysis and learning the field and the environment. Who's your competitors and things of that nature out there?
Yes.
What are they doing?
Yeah.
So that's doing the work. Okay.
And to piggyback what you're saying, what I learned throughout the years is that the work that's needed to be done is already shown what needs to be done to be successful.
Yes.
So when I looked at Demery, and I knew that for baseball, you got to be a high performing baseball player or to be competitive, you got to be able to throw the ball on the line across the diamond.
Right.
I don't know how Demery got there. I didn't care, but I knew that if we had to compare skill set, that my arm would show that I was more advanced.
Okay.
And more prepared.
And that's what we do in business all the time. Is I'm showing people, when I tell them you don't have to lie, cheat, or steal. You just have to do the work. And they kind of look at me with like a deer in the headlights, and I'm like, okay, they can't do the work.
Right.
They don't know what the work is. And see, sometimes if you don't know what the work is, you got to find a tutor. You can't be ashamed of getting a tutor.
Got you.
You got to find a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
You got to find someone. But the thing is, when they can't do the work, then they go lying. Then they go cheating.
Right.
Then they go stealing. Because they don't know what the work is, so the only way they know is, oh, I need to make some money or do something. So then they compensate for not knowing how to do the work by lying, cheating, and stealing. And you don't have to do that, people in business. Just do the work.
Oh, I'm in agreement, because no way I could have faked the funk and say I could play, and I go on that tryout, and I can't throw the ball across the diamond.
Right.
I can hit the ball hard through the infield or out the park. So it's I think if I was fake or phony, I would have been exposed.
Absolutely.
I would have been exposed, but I wasn't. So I showed up and they gave me some money 2 years later. So I was able to, but I didn't stop there, because once I had the opportunity to try out, I stayed watching the team. I kept scouting them out for my purpose. How can I make them better and make me better? Right. I played that next summer, and so that parlayed to, again, coming to Charlotte, being a police officer, leaving law enforcement.
So one of the things you just said, make them better.
Right.
Then make yourself better.
Correct.
So it wasn't a selfish act. It
right.
was, hey, I want to make them better as a team.
Yes.
That I'm going to be a part of.
Right.
And I know I've got to make myself better as a person and as a teammate.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Man, I thank you. Well, I thank you for having me, because sometimes we don't know we're around amazing. Even knowing you, it's like, okay, this is rare that you're meeting someone who's willing and able to help you get to that next level. Yes. So we do have amazing moments, is whether or not we acknowledge it and identify with it. And I identify, and I appreciate you having me to talk about my story, my journey, because there's a lot of stories like that out there. And I just never quit. But I use every learning experience to go to the next learning experience. So when I got to Charlotte and became a police officer, I'm probably out of 40 recruits, it was 3 blacks. 1 black female from Philly, 1 ex-Marine, he just got the Marine Corps, came right to the police academy, and me from Brooklyn, New York, who just got a 4-year degree from Howard University. Everyone else was white.
Wow. And
I'm sitting in that recruit class. Unfortunately, I went 1 year to Brooklyn College, because that was my first exposure to being in an environment that was racial based on ethnicity. Brooklyn College in Brooklyn is predominantly white community, Jewish and Italian.
Okay.
I went to a high school predominantly Latino, blacks, and Asians. So this is my first transition from my community to another community. So police academy brought me right back to that.
Okay.
But I was prepared because I have experienced it, and then I went to HBCU. So now I knew more about who I was as a person. And so in the police academy, we would do runs. We would do, you'll run your miles. And I always said, I made a commitment to myself that I was never going to finish last, and that I wasn't going to allow them to finish in front of me. So every time we had an open run, which you ran at your tempo, your speed, we always started in formation, then we ran, and I just go out front. And every race or run, they call it, no one finished in front of me, because I had made up in my mind and my spirit, this is not happening.
That reminds me, Mitch, of something that my parents used to tell me. No matter what you do in life, be the best at it. If you're going to pick up manure, be the best at picking up manure. But not only be the best, be 10 times better than anyone else around you. And I was like, as a young person growing up, you didn't really understand being 10 times better, what that means. But I always took it, and I think what they meant, and I'm pretty sure as a 55-year-old man, I know what they mean now, it was do the work. Do the work. When everybody else would go inside because it might be raining, I'm out there doing the work, and I was doing the work, and I've been that way. When people after football practice, we would have to go fix up the apartments and the houses and things of that nature that my parents owned and stuff like that. And I used to resent that. I was like, everybody else got to go home, relax, chill out, take it easy, and I had to go clean up after somebody leaving an apartment or a house all nasty and messy. And it was just amazing. I was like, oh man, I hate this. I don't want to do this when I get older. And I went to the military.
Okay.
And then got out of the military, couldn't find a job. And the first job, I went on plenty of jobs, and my mother kind of duped me out of the military because she didn't like me being in the military. And it was funny because I went to all white school.
Okay.
I grew up in East LA until I was about 10. South Central.
Okay.
LA.
Okay. Oh, South Central.
68 and San Pedro to be exact. And then they moved to West Covina, California, which was a predominantly all-white neighborhood. My high school was basically across the street. My elementary was across the street, and my middle school was a block away.
Okay.
I had to fight almost every day when I was in those lower schools because some of the kids would spit on me. They tried to dump me in the toilet, those kind of things, and I had to fight.
That was your educational level. That was what you learned in the school.
Now I went from all East LA,
right,
South Central, where I never had to fight. You guys get this now, being a black man and a black child. I never had to fight. We all had fun together, and we did certain things. And I don't want to make any differences, but there are some differences in awareness and knowledge to a school where it was basically predominantly white, and they were trying to dump me in the toilet. Now, they were just having fun.
Right. Okay, at your expense.
At my expense, right. So they didn't know me, so I get in a fight with 3-4 people. Okay, so you know the odds when you're a kid fighting 3 or 4 people, you ain't really going to win.
Right.
Okay. But I'm the one that gets suspended.
How'd that happen?
Man, I don't know. And, my parents were young, and because most of the white parents were a little bit older, more established and mature. And I'm saying this looking back through the lens. Because as a child, you don't understand none of it. But principal suspends me. So almost every week, for fights and things I never started or done, I
just
get in
finished.
Trouble and being suspended. And I'm like, and I remember one time they accused me of breaking the lights out, which they call vandalism at one of the schools. And they interrogated me for about a whole day, and I'm just sitting there crying, and it's like, I couldn't even articulate injustice. It was just injustice. But it was like, wow. So I learned something, and what I learned was do the work.
Wow.
Don't sit back. Don't complain.
You didn't take on the victim mentality.
No. It's unfair. It's unjust. But go do the work. And as I got to high school and started playing sports and things of that nature, and granted now, to that point, all my friends were basically a bunch of because your friends are who you're growing up.
That's right.
So I went from having a circle of friends that all look like me to having a circle of friends that all look like them, but I was included when we started playing sports. When I could catch that ball and they can see me catch that ball, and took a couple of them to bring me down and things like that, So that was exciting.
Okay.
And the funny thing, I go to Mount Sac relays, and then I had the black kids teasing me.
That's right.
Then I got to fight them because they calling me names, Uncle Tom and things like that. And I'm like, what in the world?
You didn't sell out. You sell out. You sell out.
And it's like, I don't belong nowhere. But I didn't take it personal. It went back to, let me get on that track and let me show you. And so it was like, again, everything keeps coming down to do the work. I'm not a victim.
Right.
So I would tell anyone that's looking at minority business access, don't be a victim. Don't take that on. Listen to what Mitch is saying. Listen to what I'm telling you. Don't be a victim. Go do the work.
Yeah.
And keep going.
And that police academy thing reinforce again another lens to look through. So I'm running, no one can catch me. And in the break room, when we have breaks between classes, you will have the other recruits talking. Oh, you run faster because you got longer legs. And, in
stereotyping.
And challenging you in a subtle way.
Yes.
How can we rile them up?
Right.
And, being, I guess, older, being from the North and having street smarts, I said, nah, I got a bigger heart. I wanted more.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
How could they respond to that?
Wow.
You ain't going to challenge me. I'm just letting you know who I am. I got a bigger heart, and I wanted more. Now, if you're going to have a big heart and you don't want it more than me, you're going to always see the back of me. So
I like that.
During the last part of the run, our last run is a state test, supposed to be 8 miles, which was created by the police academy. I guess you could create your own test, physical test, for being successful for the academy. So they made an 8-mile run. So this is how society, again, when they see you can hold yourself, and you have pride and dignity and some type of something about you, they try to chop you down.
Right.
So again, doing the work, they didn't know I was running on my own.
Okay.
I didn't just run at the police academy. When they were hanging out with the other recruits, getting drunk and partying, Sundays and the days I was off, I'm going to the park running.
I'm
putting the work in.
There you go.
But they don't see that side.
Right.
So they bring on the last day of the run this police officer who was a runner, who ran marathons. So I guess today was the day we're going to put him in his place.
Okay.
So all rookie school, they couldn't catch me. So they said, we're going to put a runner on him. So I looked at the runner. I said, okay. It was around this time of the year, December. And I said, okay, they got a runner. Oh, I'm supposed to be scared. I said, nah, we're going to run today. So the run starts, 8 miles. I take off. He never saw me.
Wow.
So they're looking at, wait a minute, this guy, we brought a runner.
You took off early.
I took off.
And just kept going.
He going to have to run.
What was going through your mind?
He not catching me. Don't look back.
Don't look back.
Don't look back.
Don't look back.
Don't look back. He ain't catching me today. We gonna have to do some work today. They're gonna have to pull me off this tarmac if he gonna catch me.
That's one of the things that I say in business. I was a slow reader. Didn't like to read a lot in school and things, but when I became an adult, I began to really enjoy reading certain things. And I think I'm still a slow reader, but guess what? I keep reading.
There you go. Okay.
I don't stop, because I know I need that information, and I need to be able to regurgitate that information and then spit it out and apply it into the right places. So, and that's what you're saying. And so when I'm doing a deal or something, and I'm working on a contract, now I'm gonna give a quick brief. I want you to get back to what you were saying. We did a contract, and this was many years ago. The law firm that was representing us was one of the largest law firms in the United States at the time, called Best and Krager. Dwight Montgomery was my personal attorney that was working on this, right? And so we were doing a really big deal. It's a $5 million deal. And this $5 million acquisition, they brought over a 300-page contract. And I look at it. Now, 300 pages is a lot for a brother that reads kind of slow. Now, I got some kids around me that'll read, including my grandson, that'll read 300 pages in a couple of hours and be done with it and digest everything they just read. And, in fact, my grandson and we're in a reading contest, who can read the most books every month.
Okay.
I think he got me beat by one, and he reads really well. But back to the contract, they put something on page 13. And I read it and I said, well, I don't like the way that reads. And we need to change it to do something else. And they said, okay, both sides agree. My attorneys told me, well, that's just boilerplate language. I said, well, I understand that, but I'm gonna need that to read a little differently. And so everybody agreed to change it. So they changed it, and then they placed it on like page 61. See, I know these page numbers because I've read the contract again. So I kept reading the contract. And so I called up Dwight and I said, well, Dwight, they took it off of this page and they put it on page 61. And he was like, no, it's just don't worry about that. I said, well, I got to worry about it because it's still in there.
Yes.
They just reworded it a little bit to make it seem slightly different and placed it somewhere else. And so they did that a couple more times. At the end, it was like on page 200 and something of the contract. And it was like, okay. But we finally win this $5 million acquisition. When it was all said and done, they had to give me like $300,000-$400,000 to do the acquisition. And listen to what I just said. I was buying a company for $5 million.
They gave you $300,000.
They had to give me somewhere around $300,000-$400,000 to buy the company when we were done. And that's where coming in, doing the due diligence, doing the work comes in. Okay. And I was like, man, I love what I do. And this black man from West Covina, California, that grew up a little bit in East LA, born in East LA, left it when we were about 8, 9 years old, and went to West Covina. And I'm like, man, I'm doing these kind of deals.
Wow. Was that the first major one?
That was my biggest one at the time that I got paid for. Now, see, again, I was going in to buy the company, and from buying the company, we turned around, and they had to pay me. And that's where doing the work comes in. Doing the work. You ain't got to lie, cheat, or steal. You just got to do the work.
That's right.
So, go. You wouldn't let him catch you.
He didn't catch me, so after the run, I ran 8 miles. I mean, some ridiculous time. I was just focused. I was focused and determined that, and I had a goal. And the goal was when I first started the police academy that I was not going to allow any of the recruits. And it was motivated by being one of few blacks.
Okay.
It was motivated that you're gonna have to put out. I'm gonna put out. I'm gonna see what y'all got.
Right.
And so that motivation was used in a positive way, and it bettered me.
Right.
And it bettered me. So I got through that. Got to now I got other districts coming to. They're hearing about me now. They got a police guy at the academy run like a deer. Want me to work in their district. So I'm like, hey, we got a running district, man. We need a guy like you. But I picked a district that was predominantly black, and I wanted to be around us, people that look like me, of color.
Right.
Because I grew up in that. And as I was learning the job and doing the job, I realized I wasn't really fulfilling what I had in my spirit and my heart in helping people.
Okay. Tell us about that.
Well, the first year is exciting in law enforcement. You it's something new. You're doing things that you saw in movies and TV that you thought you were doing, but you're basically chasing your own shadow. So when you work in a neighborhood that is predominantly has ethnic numbers leaning towards blacks and Hispanics, and at that time in 1992, 91, North Charlotte was predominantly black. So Pegram Street, the Plaza, Midwood area, it was pockets of black. It was crime, inner city crime, but it was on a level that was smaller than what I was used to hearing in New York, but it was still crime.
Right.
So what I learned that it was a revolving door. So I thought when I came to Charlotte with my peace and love attitude, because I worked at a gym in New York when I was also working at the shelter, that I can help people, and that was my goal. That was my purpose, and I realized I couldn't really help, and that helping or being in that environment was changing me as a person as well. I didn't trust people because you could be on a call and you can ask them, hey man, you got a firearm, weapon, or drug, and say no. You pat their pockets and you find a firearm. Like, just ask you a simple question.
You just said something. I hate to keep interrupting.
No, I appreciate you.
All through, but it was changing you, changing who you are.
Correct.
The core of who you are.
Yes.
I can identify and relate to that. I was in business, and I've been in business for a really long time, over 30 years. And I remember having a regulatory problem, first regulatory problem, and it changed who I was. And it was like, no, you got to get back. And the first regulatory problem, they sent me a letter when it was all over with. They sent me a letter and said, well, we didn't find anything wrong. We're sorry for the inconvenience and everything like that. Unfortunately, they cost me millions and millions of dollars, and I had to get rid of facilities and things of that nature and stuff like that. And they didn't give me no compensation. But
Right.
they did say they were sorry. And I understood them doing their job, and being a person, you know, like most, wanting to be law-abiding, following the rules, and you're following the rules, and there's so many rules. Let me tell you guys, you may not know what all the rules are. Okay, and even your attorneys may not know what all the rules are. So it's very important that you definitely follow the rules that you know, but you do what's right, not just what's right in business, but what's right spiritually, internally. And so it changed me.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I went to start another business, because I wanted to commit suicide, because I lost everything. And I was like, okay, let me go and just commit suicide so my wife at the time could get the money and things of that nature, because I didn't think there was no way in the world I was going to be able to recover. And we had lost a lot. You know, it was quote about almost 100 and something million in assets and things like that. And I was like, you know, it was a struggle and took a long time to get that.
Right.
And so you're looking at it, and it's all gone because of how people have perceived you and what they thought about you. That was a tough one. So when I walked some barges. Wait, no, first I tried to sell some cars. Okay. And then they wanted me to tell these half-truths and half-lies, what I call white lies. And I was like, that ain't me. I would tell the people, this is what the car costs, this is what it is. And so I tried that, and I was like, no, I can't do that. And then I walked barges on the Mississippi River out of Louisiana. And I'm walking on these barges, and everybody's like, well, you know, you can fall in that water and die, and you won't be found. I didn't care. You know, I was hurt.
Right.
I was wounded. Okay. And then a couple guys kept calling me and stuff like that. One name was Tyreek, and he was like, look, he was a younger brother in his early 30s. I was in my early 40s, mid 40s. And he was like, if you know how to do this, really know how to do this, help me. See, it gave me a purpose.
Right.
And I was like, man, my mind, I got stinky thinking, because I had been wounded.
Right.
Things had changed. And I said, no. He said, well, help me. And so I went and helped the brother, and then all of a sudden, this was during 2008, one of the greatest recessions this country has known. And I got him an unlimited line of credit. And I do mean unlimited line of credit and stuff like that. During the greatest recession, while other people were getting their stuff cut.
Right.
And I turned around from there. I set up my new company, a company that was called Rainco, private equity company. And I set up all my trust and things like that. I called my friend, an attorney, who was working with me from the nursing home business. And we set up all these different trusts from the very beginning, because we said we wanted the structure to be right. So now I'm going to stop right there.
Yeah.
Go right back to, you didn't want it to change you.
Right. And so I left. But your conversation now got me wanting to hear that, because that's what, fast forward.
No, we want to hear that. Okay.
Well, so I, one of my fellow officers in my district committed suicide in a patrol car. And it was April of that year. And I was on leave already, because I was feeling different. I was sitting in roll call thinking about how many shots I could put in that supervisor's chest before all the other officers could realize I just shot him. Mm-hmm. I said, that's not a good thought.
Right. So it was starting to change
me as a person. Right. The nature of why I took the job. Now, instead of helping people, I'm about to take lives. I'm thinking of taking this man's life.
So your mind
change. Snap, yeah, I'm changed because the environment and not being fulfilled and not having those challenges, positive challenges. And so I said, you know what? April, after the officer committed suicide in a patrol car, I called him and said, I'm not coming in no more.
Okay.
That's
so
it.
You knew.
Yeah, that was it.
That was it.
That was it. I never went back.
Can't do that.
I never went back. I didn't go back and say, hey, I had 4 years and 8 months. I needed 4 months to be vested. I never went back.
Okay.
So I was going, and at the time, I'm going through a separation, divorce, and job separation.
So you got
I got
the weight of the world.
Man, it's on me. You said you want to commit suicide. I never thought suicide. I'm talking about what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, option there was like, okay, what are you going to do? And I was back at my mother's house. She was still alive.
Well, see, let me say this to my audience. Don't ever give up, because your life ain't your own.
That's right.
God placed you here to be a gift and a blessing to someone else, to enhance their life, and to take your gifts, your superpowers, whatever that may be, okay, to use it to wash someone else's feet. And from that, you will get and find your purpose. And as you're finding your purpose, you will be rewarded in other ways. And my way that I've been rewarded is financial, things like that. And people ask me, well, why you do what you do now? And it's like, well, sure. I didn't save me.
Right.
Someone else saved me. You know, my mother, my wife at the time, they saved me. Okay, the people that knew me and knew of me saved me. The brother I told you about, he saved me because he gave me a new purpose. And so that new purpose I had never thought about. It never crossed my mind. You would think that it would have, but it never crossed my mind to go out and say, oh, let me help this brother do something.
Right.
Let me not focus on my problem. Let me take my superpower and help this brother. It never dawned on me. And then when I started helping that brother, then the next brother that called me, I was like, well, you know, I'm not sure. He was like, well, if you can do it, you know, we'll give you 70%, we'll give you this and this. And I told him, no, we'll do 50-50. You don't pay me anything for the first year. You give me a promissory note, and I will go do the work for you.
Do the work.
For the promissory note, and then at the end, I don't want your cash or your money. What I want from you at the end is some equity in your company. And that was the beginning. So I took my superpower.
That's right.
On what I knew, how to raise some money for some people, and how to do the work and set them up very strategically, something that you don't see unless you're with a Fortune 100 company, but they don't see it a lot of the times because it's so departmentalized. And so they don't know all of it. So you get a guy like me who understands all those different pieces, which means, again, it's doing the work. And it was a blessing to me to be a blessing to them.
Yes.
But finish.
For after that, I realized I called in and I never been back, and I went to my mother's house. I said, Mom, what I'm gonna do? And I had just set up a program called a RoboCop. A RoboCop is a program is the acronym Active Exercise Reinforcing Our Basic Oneness, Children Overcoming Problems.
Wow.
You know, so I created a concept, trademarked it, say, okay, this is a program that's going to help kids that are not participating in sports, but watching sports, but wanting to participate. That number is greater than those who are participating. Right. So why not address those on the sideline? And I got that from being an instructor. So at the time I became a certified aerobic instructor, and I'm looking in the class and say, how come this is not full all the time? And most of the people taking classes at that time, and even today, are former athletes that go into the gym because they're familiar with working out. So this new phenomenon of having a non-athletic person who had no athletic background working out had to become very attractive, had to make it sexy.
Okay.
So that's why you see all these creative classes. So they're trying to make it sexy for the non-athletic person or active person.
So RoboCop.
The RoboCop was for kids.
RoboCop for kids. So what happened?
I went to that, and I'm doing a chair aerobic class with the City of Charlotte Government Channel they had a program called ABLE, All Bodies Like Exercise. So they called me in because I was doing chair aerobics at the McCrory Y. And my mother had passed in '98 of ovarian cancer. And, you know, I was so special. I was her baby. And I was again, hit with another curve. Like, what do you do now?
So you were hit with...
Left law enforcement 3 years later.
Let me see.
Okay.
Because I want to make sure I understand. And I want to make sure the audience understands. Because when they're hit with burdens and life challenges, I want them to do what you've done. I want them to do what I have done. Keep going.
That's right.
Don't give up. Just keep going. There's help. When you help other people, there's help on the way for you too.
That's right.
So you were hit with a life decision.
Yes,
in your career, because you were like having some stinky thoughts about your career and the things that you were doing.
That I was exposed to.
It was changing your personality.
Correct.
You were hit with all of a sudden a divorce at the same time.
Same time.
So that's heavy. This ain't no light stuff when you're going through. This is some heavy stuff.
This life-changing stuff. Yes, sir.
And then later, you were hit with the passing of your mother.
Yes.
Man.
Yeah. And all those moments, all those challenges, even before my mother passed, I was back at her house. And being at the house, I was talking to a center here in Charlotte for juvenile kids that had committed a crime but were juvenile, so they put them in there, and they had mental issues as well. So I was calling. It was called a Tom Ray Center, and I called them up and said, "Hey, I'm Mitchell Smith. I was Mitchell Smith at the time. I made a name correction to Bey later on, but I was talking to them. I said, can I come and do a demo with your kids? Let's use physical activity as an alternative for them to deal with their anxiety or their aggression."
Okay.
Right? And they said, okay. They invited me and said, you can come and do a demo. Now, this is a secure facility.
Okay.
And so I get off the phone. I said to my mother, I said, what I'm going to do? She looked at me and said, do what you just did. Sell yourself.
Wow.
And I looked at her and said, huh? She said, sell yourself. And now, for those listening, it's not my body. It was my intelligence, my creativity, my energy. So I went there and I did my thing with the kids, and one of the mantras, you know, I'm coming from the root word skull session. So you do activity, you have a skull session. Everybody sit down and talk about what happened, right? So I would do fitness with the kids, and then we would talk about the things that they were going through or what they have gone through.
Okay.
So when Officer Gamble, my buddy from Charlotte PD, committed suicide, I didn't want to go and see the kids that day. I was feeling something. And I said, no, let me go. I'm scheduled to go. So I went in, I told the kids, I said, guys, I really don't want to be here today. A friend of mine committed suicide, and I don't feel like being here. And I knew I made an impact on somebody, because they raised their hand and said, Mr. Smith, do what you tell us. Talk about it.
Do what you tell us.
It made my day, brought tears to my eyes. Even right now, I'm feeling a little funny, but it was like, okay, they got it. And if I'm going to walk the talk, now it's time to apply it. So I started talking to them about what I was going through.
You know, I tried to help a minority company. And I didn't try, I did. And I lent them a great deal of money. And, you know, because I went through something.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went through it, part of my pledge, my mother told me something very similar. She said, go help someone else. And so I went to start helping minority companies in business. And I was like, okay, I don't want another minority company to go through what I had gone through, some injustice and things of that nature. And understand, I don't look at it whether it was injustice or not. Don't really care. The people had a job to do, and for whatever reasons they chose to target me and to do their job in a particular way that suited them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so although I got that letter later, you know, I'm just mindful that I could have been bitter and angry, but I went and helped someone else. And in helping them, it was a blessing in some degree to me.
Mm-hmm.
But the young man that I helped, he was a little bit older than me. He was actually in his 60s at the time. Turned around and called the SEC or whoever and did some other things under the hand because he didn't want to pay it back or thought I was doing something crazy because he didn't understand. And I was like, you got to be kidding. Here it is, a man gives you a lifeline, gives you his resources from things that he has set up, access to his network, and you go do that. And that was hurtful. How do you deal with this kind of stuff?
Well, you said something key. He did something that could have affected you, but it did affect you probably. And how do you use that as a learning moment, right. A teaching moment? Teaching moment, yes. You know, it's like, okay, you can't stop the hurt or the blood.
Right.
Or how the cut was started. Just stop the blood. Stop the bleeding. Right. Just stop the bleeding. You know, just talk about, man, that man cut me. Yep. Well, you better stop that bleeding. You won't die. Right. so in essence, that's where my mindset is like, I've gone through some things, even in law enforcement, even with separation, divorce with ex-wives. Like, look, what am I supposed to learn from this situation?
Right.
You know, I can't stop I already got cut.
Can't stop what happened.
Right, I can't stop. It already happens. So at the end of the day, that's all I'm looking to do. So when I'm growing and knowing and learning, it's like, okay, then the universe opens up. And you may hear me say a lot about the universe. I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. Okay. And what I mean by that, I believe that there's a higher power. I believe there's something greater than I. But I also believe that I have choices.
Right.
And those choices give me something of some type of similarity or relationship with that.
You just said something very key, because when he did that, and the SEC started their investigation and everything like that, in fact, it's still ongoing, when they started their investigation, I had a choice to be bitter, mad, and angry. And I chose not to be none. I was like, no, I'm not going to be bitter. I'm not going to be angry. They got a job to do. And when they do their job, if there are people that are righteous and just,
that's right,
then they will see that, oh, okay, Solomon didn't do anything, we'll be done with it. If they're not, then I guess we're going to all go to the mat, and we're going to have to go to court and things of that nature. And if we have to go to the Supreme Court, that's where we go.
Right.
Because, everybody say, Solomon, just settle. You're not admitting to any wrongdoing or anything like that. Just settle. I was like, I can't do that because my grandson will read this one day.
That's right.
And I don't want him to think that, oh, Solomon got his wealth by lying, cheating, and stealing. And I didn't, because that would have been a true lie. And then I kept saying, it didn't fit right in my spirit.
That's right.
To settle. It just didn't fit right inside. And so I asked myself, why? And the only thing came up was this. There's other people that need your help, that haven't had the exposure and access to where you've been. They haven't sat on the mountaintop and be able to see how and what businesses are going through or what they will go through, and see where all those different pitfalls are. And so then it said to me, they're asking you to lie. They're asking you to lie. Up until this point, you hadn't told a lie. You were being true to yourself.
Right.
Because before, if you go back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier, it was starting to change me from that first problem that I had, and then it was starting to change. And so I set things up correct in the right way and was like, okay, we're going to do 100%. We're going to do 10 times better. We're going to read these books. We're going to do this. We're going to set this structure up. We're going to be better than better. And so we did that. But now all of a sudden you got a regulatory agency asking you to settle. And asking you to settle was asking you to lie. And I was like, I can't do that. I can't do that for my grandson. I'd rather you find me absolutely wrong, guilty, whatever it may be, than to go willingly tell a lie.
So if you don't stand for something, you fall for everything.
Amen.
So back onto that, I started to do chair aerobics. I started my business called House of NC Inc. To cover a RoboCop, which was a byproduct of House. And so the House is something that I created, again, is to just help others and helping myself. And in that process of teaching, I start to meet people. I got an opportunity from doing the cable show, Able. I brought a RoboCop. And so my thoughts, my forward thinking was, if I can get exposure on the government channel, then I can grow a RoboCop and House outside it.
And so you're helping people with their health.
Yes.
High cholesterol, blood pressure, all this through exercise. Come and get in better shape.
Yes.
Kids that weren't in sports, things like that, to get in better shape, be physically fit.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm starting to get, and to again, like you said, introducing and showing in an educational and fun way and entertaining. So RoboCop had a spandex outfit with an A on his chest, and I did aerobics with kids. And the kids were volunteers from schools, and I supplied them with T-shirts. And I was seen for 10 years every Monday through Friday at 4 o'clock on the government channel. So I provided the free information or the presentation and the energy when we were taped, and they just provided the production part. And, so for you guys out there, I would love to go back out. RoboCop is still needed. Obesity is great, greater now than it was before, that more kids are said to may die before their parents because of early stages of diabetes, high blood pressure, and even heart disease.
Wow.
So I linked up with a local, or I fortunate again, was pulled in by the county health department, and I was doing a program.
So the county reached out to you and said, okay, we need to put this program together.
Kind of, yes. They had an outside agencies applying for grants.
Okay.
And I applied and got through their hurdles.
Okay, their maze.
Yeah, the maze. And it was cute. But again, when you're dealing with intelligence in the universe, you get answers. So they had an application process where when you submitted it, if your end of your application didn't say true, the verbiage and the numbers didn't say true, it kicked it out.
Ah, okay.
So I'm working this thing. I'm like, okay, we got to go true. Before we send it in, we got to make sure we got true. And me and my grant writer, we got true, submitted it. So I was requesting $150,000.
So wait a minute.
Go ahead, yeah.
You submitted an application for a grant.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you graduated from Howard, right?
Yes, sir.
So you have a college degree.
Yes.
So you could have wrote this yourself, but you went out and got a grant writer.
Correct.
An expert in their field.
Yes.
To help you to do that.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. I know my lane.
Okay.
I know my lane.
That's why I try to tell people. Hire those who know their subject, and you stay in your lane.
Yeah. That's why I learned. Yeah, you better know your lane. So I got her on board, and we're sitting there and combining our intelligence. True came up. Boom, submitted an application. So on their side, he got through the hurdles. He got through the maze. We're supposed to accept this house of NCE Inc. as an outside agency requesting funds. Because he made it through the application process. Okay. And we set this process up for if you can't make it through here, you can't get no money.
Right, okay.
So we made it through. But because the powers of be understood the game, so I got there, they said, oh man, he made it through the loops. Now they ask the question, who's the house? Because he can go around kissing the ring.
Okay. Now, when you say kissing the ring, what are you talking about?
Kissing the ring to me means, getting permission from those who are in position to help.
Okay.
So
people in position of power,
right?
Control those channels.
Right? Did you know Solomon? Did Solomon send you, or Solomon sent me? You got to have that reference, that contact name.
Right.
So and so sent me.
Okay.
He got through because so and so helped them, but they don't have nobody in the midst who helped the house. Because you need some help to get through this process. Right. That's why we set the process up. Okay. But the help was my grant writer.
Your expert.
My expert in the field of writing it.
I read a book called The Richest Man in Babylon. I've read this book literally for the last 20 years, every year. And I'm about to read it before the new year come again. And it talks, there's a little chapter in there that talks about don't hire brick makers to go buy your jewels. You hire a jewel maker that knows jewels to go buy those jewels. That's
right. It's
you
simple.
Hire a brick maker.
Do your brick. Masonry.
Okay. And that's what you did.
Yes, sir.
You hired a grant writer.
Yeah, I'm the fitness guy. I do fitness. I could work you out right now from right here. But you said, Mitch, right? I don't want to split my brain cells.
But it wasn't that you
couldn't do it, right? It's gonna take away from what I do best.
Right.
And what I do best is what I know. I acknowledge what I do best, and I'm saying I want to stay in that lane. And it's okay to get help. I don't know, and I don't want to know everything, but I'm gonna know what I need to know to be the best I can be in the area that I'm working in.
Right.
So with the fitness piece, it came. We got through. So they pulled me to the side when they're supposed to distribute the funds. Was they had the finalizing of the budget. They had a county meeting. So one of the representatives pulled me to the side from the district that I live in and said, "Hey, can we talk to you?" I said, "Yeah." So well, you're a new agency, you're a new organization. They didn't say that on the application. Okay. Now you're bringing some new words in a new conversation. They didn't say you're new. I said, yeah. So I'm listening. Well, what we decided is that we're going to shift $50,000 to the health department, and they're going to use your services to do what you do. Now, if you know math, 50,000 is how much of 150? 1/3. Wow. What's 1/3 of a calendar year? 4 months. In my mind, they don't know. I'm calculating. You give me 1/3 of what I requested, you get 4 months of work. Wow. You don't get a whole year of work on 1/3 of what I requested. Wow. But that's all right. We don't need to have that conversation. Let's get through the 50 first.
So that was kind of like just
shifting. Yeah.
I ain't even
go steal it. What you call it?
Sleight of hand.
Oh yeah, good sleight of hand.
Hey, if you fill this out, you get a chance to get $150,000.
Mm-hmm.
They expected you to fail.
Right.
They bring in a different piece in the equation.
Yes.
Say, okay, we're gonna give them the 150, but
they get
50 out of it.
Yeah, basically.
That was crazy. But that's how this stuff works, guys.
Right.
Bank loans, all kinds of stuff, VC capital, all of it works the same way.
They were shifting money. Because the player in the game knew the game. He got through the game. So I said, okay. But see, I was not going to lose. It's best to have something than 100% of nothing. So I said, yeah, okay, yeah, go do what y'all do. I said, all right. And that's when the crash hit.
Oh, okay.
Because that was around 2008. But I had secured initially 150 in their paper game.
All right.
And they realized I got through the paper game, so they said, let's give them 50 through this. But we know we allocated 150, like you said. So what happened to the other 100? But that's not my problem.
So you couldn't focus your energy
on what was not right. What was not being presented fully.
Yeah,
I focused on the 50. You okay? You want to give me 50 right now?
Let me ask you,
Go ahead, talk to me.
Complain about it?
No. Time to do work. I put the work in.
Put the work in.
I got 50.
See, that's what I'm talking
Look,
about.
I got because I'm doing math. I like numbers.
Yeah.
Right. So 50 is 1/3 of 150.
So
1/3 of 12 months is 4. They won't get 4 months of work out of me.
So let me see this again. Ask this again.
Yeah, talk to.
Everyone watching MBA, Minority Business Access. Did you hear what Mitch said? He didn't complain about the sleight of hand, not getting 150, and he only got the 50. He didn't complain about it. That's what I do. I don't complain about when they short me or do something, and it's like, well, that's not what the contract's. I don't complain. I just keep working and doing what's necessary to get to the other end. You know, when I raise money for clients, I say, look, we're trying to get a touchdown. Ref call a call, whether it's good or bad, don't matter to me.
That's right. Line up. Let's go.
Let's get on the line. Let's next play. So we get into the touchdown.
That's it.
Okay.
And I like that. So at the end of the day, that introduced me to the municipalities and how granting works.
Okay.
So how the game is played on that level.
So let me say this. I know you train a lot of people.
Yes.
I'm one of the people that you train currently.
Uh-huh.
You train
Yes.
athletes. You train everyday, ordinary people with the church and
Yes.
things
Yes,
of that
sir.
nature. I want you to tell us a little bit about that. I want you to tell me how can people reach out to you.
Okay.
And get a hold of you.
Okay.
All right. So that they can get training or whatever it is that they feel they may need. Okay. They might just want to talk to Mitch a little.
Okay. Well, by the way, I'm also a life coach. But they can get in touch with me by sending me an email to number 2, letter G, SMIT @bellsouth.net. That's my email address. You can send your request or information to me and we'll connect. Or you can reach me at 704-606-1018. That's a phone number you can reach me at.
Okay, well, Mitch, like me, like I told you, I was a slow reader and stuff like that. So if I was trying to write that down, I wouldn't have gotten that. So
Okay.
Tell us that again.
You got it. Number 2, letter G, S as in Sam, M as in Mary, I as in Ida, T as in Tom, at bellsouth.net. Okay? Phone number 704-606-1018. And fitness, and I'm presently work with Village Heartbeat, which is a program that is going on its 8th season. It's a program that the county health department support local churches and their health ministries to strengthen their health ministries in zip codes that have a high mobility rate based on lifestyle and health. Wow. And we've been doing this for going on 8 years. And so I have a chair aerobic class every Tuesday and Thursday at Rockwell AMEs here in Charlotte from 11 to 11:45. Come join us. And all these classes are free to the participants. Wow. And I always tell my class, if you find anything as useful or helpful like that, please let me know so I can sign up, because you're going to have some fun.
Let me say this. Audience, I really want you guys to understand something. Mitch told you some very intimate things about himself. I discussed some too. If you are looking for a life coach, if you are looking for someone to help benefit your mind, your heart, your soul, your body, give you some longevity, Mitch is a person that you need to really reach out to and get a hold of. The first and foremost is because you want someone to have some experience about some life struggles, because life is going to throw some stuff at you.
Correct.
Now, I'm going to say this a different way. Life is going to throw some shit at you, including everything, including the damn kitchen sink. It's going to come your way when you least expect it. And you're going to need someone there, like a Mitch, that can help you mentally deal with that. Not focus on what's been done wrong to you, but focus on, let's get your mind right. Let's go run. Let's go to the gym. Let's get your body right, okay? So that stress is not taking a hold of you and putting you in an early grave. This stuff is real. So what Mitch does is real.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate that. It's so fitness and wellness is my outlet for my stressors, for my joy, for my pleasures. And I always say I work out and look better with no clothes on.
Okay.
Because we all can robe it up. How you look when you're bare. Yeah, right. And I got a shake test for you all listeners. Go in front of the mirror for women and men. Keep your shorts on and shake in the mirror. If your body's still moving when you stop shaking or stop moving, if your body's still shaking, you need to call me.
Okay.
It's a natural, and that's what we got to have, more joy. I think in life, life, because of the devices, have taken us out of this. I like this. We're communicating. This is not fake. This is not short term. This is not how many characters you could type on your phone. This is a conversation of two people, and I appreciate it again. And when I was going through my studies as a more science, and I always ask, what happened to people of color to fall out of what appears to be that they fell out of the ranking of relationship with the Creator?
Here's something that you just tipped on. Didn't quite go there. I was doing a podcast the other day with someone. In fact, I can say his name, with Les Brown. Mm-hmm. And Les Brown been around. You know Les Brown?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
One of I believe, the top motivational speakers in the world, bar none, second to none. That's what I believe. Les Brown, bar none, is one of the number one speakers in the world. But he has said something to me. He said, Solomon, in 51 years, I've only been interviewed by people that look like you and me 8 times.
Wow. In 51 years.
And that kind of hurt me, because I'm like, surely
a man of your status.
Yeah, a man that reached the levels and is a master at what he does, we would have truly come around and wanted to interview him. All the black newspapers out there, radio station, and you didn't come and interview probably one of the people in this world that's probably saved more black lives than anyone else, bar none.
That's right. That's
because
right.
I know when I was down and out, okay, I heard Les Brown's voice because I had listened to his motivational stuff. And if you were a listener to Les Brown,
I listen to him on YouTube right now.
It's like you get up and you keep on going. It's like you become that little engine that could. And so I know it gave me something. You know, I know for our people, a lot of times we get our faith and our confidence through the church.
That's right.
That we go to and hearing the scriptures and things of that nature. But, you know, it just, you know, when you said that, it just kind of brought something to me that a man that's been doing something for 51 years and not just mediocre at it.
That's right.
But was
Top
the
of it.
master of it. Okay. One of the best in the world at it. And our people didn't reach out to him and interview him.
Well, that's why you're a blessing. Your Minority Business Access is one of the things that I'm glad to be a part of, and one of the reasons I'm here is to get information on how now to protect my house of NC Inc. better, how to take that to a level where I can grow it more, not only domestically but internationally. Okay. You know, how do I trust that and put a trust over that, so that at the end of the day that I have the legalities and the protective shields in place to be able to do business without any major outside interference.
I'm glad you asked, and thank you for the vote of confidence in that area, because I'm not an attorney.
Right. I'm
not an accountant. In fact, I don't have no degrees like you guys, but I ain't gonna hold that against you guys.
No, I just had to go to play baseball. Remember, I got a degree by accident. They said, Mitch, you're gonna graduate. I said, okay, thank you.
Hey. Every young person around me go get a degree. In fact, I got a young person now that's going to Howard and stuff. She's studying law, and I love that kid to death. And awesome. She is smart as a whip. And we spiral back and forth and see who can go down the rabbit hole. Okay, sometimes she get me going down that rabbit hole. But, you know, education is important. Bar none, education is important. Yeah. I used to tell kids all the time, hang out long enough, keep going, you'll get it, period. Because if that's where you're hanging out, you're going to get it.
That's right.
You have to apply yourself. Now, that being said, on your business and protecting your business, okay, I've done disclaimers, so don't nobody call and say Solomon said he was an attorney. I'm not an attorney, I'm not an accountant.
Just having a conversation with me.
Let me say this. There's very few people on the planet that has made as much money and has as much in assets that I have. Okay, so there's a lot of them, but there's very few, whether they're attorneys or whoever you might want to call, that has done and achieved what I achieved. So I'm gonna share a structure with you.
Okay.
If you have a business entity, okay, I'm gonna say you want to own nothing, but control everything.
Okay.
Okay. I work with a bunch of different companies and vendors. And our philosophy is own nothing, but control everything. Now, we didn't create it. It came from the Rockefellers, okay? And they've created it. And their family is still one of the richest families in the world. And you know, I sent you a book before, or told you about a book before, on the Banker's Code.
Correct, yes, sir.
Very good book to take a look at, amongst other books. You want to set up a trust. You want an irrevocable trust.
Irrevocable, okay.
You want to ensure that the laws of that state for that trust, you do not want to own the assets as a beneficiary of the trust. The assets of the trust is owned by the trust. Okay. Although you're a beneficiary, you will have no direct ownership or no indirect ownership of the assets. It is for your trustee to do as he please. Okay. So you must pick a trustee that's worthy. Okay. That trust will own your business. That trustee will own, let's say, your house. So you're putting all your assets in there.
Okay.
And then there may be other things, very strategic things that I don't want to go into on the podcast.
Okay.
Because I don't want people to try to take it
part of it
and get it twisted. And then come trying to sue me or talking about it, because it's important that you get some professional help in setting it up. or that you call someone who understands this. If you call me at Minority Business Access or send me an email, I'll send you to one of my vendors who will help you to set that up. But I will say this, before anyone goes into business and spend $1 on creating a business card, a website, or anything else, you better make sure you have the right structure, or you're going to go broke. And that's just a fact. I've been doing this for over 32 years. That's a fact. Okay. Once your trust owns your business, then you can go do business free. Okay. And what I mean by do business free, you're free of the liabilities and things of that nature. Okay. So Mitch won't have to worry about, hey, if I'm in your class and I stumble and fall or hurt my wrist, your business being sued and losing everything.
Gotcha.
Okay. Because your trust will be the owner of it, and it will have things encumbered in a certain way, so your trust ain't gonna lose it neither. And you keep moving. You are also able to access capital.
Okay.
Okay, when you have the correct structure. You see, a lot of people go into business and they don't think about structure and they don't think about capital whatsoever. They might take 50, 60,000. They go buy the business cards, the websites. They go buy their equipment and inventory, and then the next thing they know, all of a sudden they having cash flow problems and don't know where to go to get money, because when you go to the bank, then the bank say, well, let me see 3 years of financials.
Right.
And you got to be making a profit for them to loan you some money. And so, we like to say, well, banks don't loan money to people who need it. You're dang right they don't.
That's right.
Why would they?
No.
If you need money, why I'm going to loan you money? I'm going to loan money to people who don't need it.
That's right.
That's a better risk,
Mm-hmm.
And banks are not in the business to take risks. They're in the business to be risk adverse. In other words, they ain't trying to take risks.
Right.
People talk about venture capital, private equity, and all that, and the same thing. They ain't in business to loan you money or give you money for a risk, for a hope and a dream. They're in the business that, that hope and the dream is going to manifest and become something so they can get their money back. Ain't no love offerings out there. So that's where you start.
Okay.
You start with the trust, and we're going to talk about that offline.
Okay, real good.
Get that document over so you can have something to work with.
I appreciate
Mitch,
you. Yes, sir.
Man, I want to thank you.
Man, thank you for having me.
I appreciate this.
Yes.
And I know that they'll appreciate it.
Thank you.
Everyone that's listening, the audience, take heed. You got a man sitting here that's been at, how long you been at this? 30-something years?
About 32 as well. Yes.
32-something years, gone through some life struggles, had some things thrown at him, still standing, still in business. That's the kind of people you want to reach out to and learn something from, okay, that can help you navigate some waters, all right? Mitch, one more time, how do they get a hold of you?
They can reach me at number 2, letter G as in George, S as in Sam, M as in Mary, I as in Ida, T as in Tom, at bellsouth.net. That's my email address, and my phone number is 704-606-1018.
Thank you, Mitch.
Thank you.
Audience, I wish to thank you for listening into MBA Minority Business Access. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
You've reached the end of another episode of the Minority Business Access Podcast. Connect with us at solomonrcali.info to leave a review and access more resources. We hope you enjoyed this show and found great value. See you at the next episode.